So we are going to do a street art walking tour of Paris. We're in the 19th arrondissement just now, and we're going to be walking through the 19th and the 20th arrondissement.
Yay!
Ardif is a Parisian-based artist, a French artist who uses a lot of sort of industrial and animal iconography in his pieces to represent a sort of political message. So in this case, how industry is affecting climate change, the penguins and so on. Down towards where I live in the 20th is another one of Ardif's pieces, which is a koala bear, and that again represents the recent Australian wildfires, again affected by climate change. People put up posters for billboards and so on. They would use wheat paste or wallpaper paste to paste it onto the wall, and then he just rips parts off it.
Oh, this is what he did on his own? Like it's not a...
No.
Oh.
So this piece in particular uses a lot of acrylic work as well. So you see some of the background colour is maybe painted on. But a lot of his work is literally just poster upon poster upon poster, and then he uses a scalpel and ripping to just rip parts of it off so it becomes different colours. So he plans it all in advance. And he uses a lot of, as I say, uses a lot of pop icons, important people in culture. So up in Montmartre you've got Michael Jackson, Serge Gainsbourg, all the famous Hollywood classic celebrities. In this case we're using Marianne, who is the icon of the resistance in Paris. So she was in the Louvre. You've got the famous painting of the Revolution, and you've got this the famous
the cap, the red cap,
the red cap.
Yeah.
So Marianne is the icon she's using. Invader, named after the Street Invader 1980s computer game, started in Bristol, and now he's in 67 cities or 35 countries around the world. In Paris alone, there's at least 200 of his pieces. You can actually get an app on your phone called Space Invaders, kind of like a Pokemon style game, where if you find a piece, you can scan and take a photo of it, type in the address where you're standing, and it gives you points no matter how to determine if it's a rare one, or it actually tells you this is not an invader, this is a fake. Everyone asks me, are they all real? Does he do them himself? Does he travel the world and install them? My theory on it, and I don't know the answer, is in the same way that Damien Hirst makes his big installation pieces. All these famous artists, their creative inspiration and their creative design designs the piece. They then have a team of people below them to make the pieces. Same as fashion designers. They design the dress, then they get seamstresses, they get people to make the dress for them. I think Invader designs the pieces, he determines where they should be, he then has a team of people around the world that would go. So Stan Lee, for those of you who don't know, Stan Lee was the creator of modern comic books. He was the creator of Marvel, the founder of Marvel, and he sadly passed away in 2018. Within 2 weeks of his passing, the Citra arm crew, you can see their tag just at the bottom of Stan's shoulder, had installed this piece of art. This wall and this street is actually one of the few free tagging streets in Paris. So people can come along and just put their own tags up. There's less etiquette than you would see in other places. Then people can just free tag over them. This wall with Stan Lee's portrait has been intact since 2018. It has not been touched. There's a few small graffiti over it, but no one's tried to tag it. Whereas the rest of the wall, within 2 weeks of me being here for the first tour, someone completely changed a really political, powerful messaging piece about police brutality. That changed overnight. So we'll see further up. There's a lot more murals, but this one, particularly because of its significance in France, for all generations in France and Belgium, and sadly was obviously the creator. I know one street tour, not in Amsterdam I think it is, where they go along and they put 2 posts in the ground, cover them in cling film, and basically build their own walls to then do a street art tagging workshop at the end, which would be really cool to do. But yeah, this with the 5 different colours, it's just really clever how they've really thought it through. And a lot of the street artists and a lot of the street art collectives will really plan their work in advance. Some of it's freestyle, and when we go down onto the Petit Centre, there might be free taggers down there just now.
Voila.
So we are going to go down onto the Petit Centre, and I'll give you a bit more history about the Petit Centre when we get down there, which is this old abandoned railway. But in order to get down there, we have to go a sneaky side entrance that not many people know about. The Petit Centre used to be the old rail. So basically, Petit Centre literally means the little belt that runs the entire way around Paris. So inside the periphery, or the big ring road that goes around the outside of Paris, is this railway that goes the whole way around of Paris. And it used to be in various forms: the mail train that took the mail around Paris, the distributor that took supplies around Paris during the war. When Paris was occupied, the Germans used it to transport supplies between their various bases around Paris. It's been abandoned now for years, and each section between each of the tunnels is still open, and you can still get down onto it. Some of the parts have been closed off for safety reasons, but it's ripe and perfect for free tagging spaces. So we talked about Chat Noir earlier, or the Black Cat. Chat Noir is a French-based artist, and he has a lot of tags and graffiti murals around Paris. There's a large-scale one down beside the Canal Saint-Martin, and this one appeared in the last few weeks. Chat Noir is one of the more famous street artists in Paris. You have one artist. This one here with the sort of the white figures on all the pillars around this area. When I first moved to Paris, he had installed his work on every single pillar in this entire area. Within weeks it was gone because it was just free tagging over it. So as I mentioned, the railway here during the war was used to transport supplies from the various German bases, and there was a German base down where we started in La Villette. In late 1944, when we were talking about the liberation of Paris, in October 1944, a small band of resistance fighters hijacked a series of trains dotted around the track around the Petit Ceinture to stop supplies getting to the bases. One particular resistance fighter, Madeleine Riffaut. She was 20 at the time in October 1944, and she hijacked and blew up the rails and stopped the supplies getting to the base down in Villette. If you fast forward to June the following year, 1945, the liberation of Paris, the main liberation of Paris that was well known, started in Champs-Élysées and started pushing people further and further east. But as you imagine, if you push Germans further and further east, they're trying to get them back to their base. If the base has not got supplies, food, ammunition, military supplies, they're not able to protect themselves. So this small liberation of Paris around the Petit Ceinture was seen as the start of the liberation of Paris, and she was memorialised in this fairly early street tagging. I don't actually know what era it's from or when it was painted, but you can see on the side of it there's a lot of moss and there's a lot of overgrown undergrowth that was damaged to the paint, so it's probably a good 30 years old by now. Mm-hmm. And Paname here, you see a lot of references, and Paris's nickname is Paname. There's a lot of theories about why, but one theory which holds a lot of weight is when Gustave Eiffel was one of the prominent engineers before he started his Eiffel Tower project. He was basically headhunted to go and help out on the Panama Canal. So when the Panama Canal was being built, they had lots of problems with the climate, the terrain, they had a lot of engineering problems. So they headhunted all the best engineers in the world to come and join them. Gustave Eiffel was shipped over to Paname and became a director of the company, and the project went from bad to worse, and it went over budget and was delayed and everything else. So when it was actually finished, it was massively over budget, and the investors were not best pleased about this. So they actually sued the company, and therefore the directors of the company. Belleville are a beautiful town, very multicultural area within the 20th. We've crossed over from the 19th arrondissement to the 20th arrondissement, and Belleville is a very multicultural area with Lebanese, Chinese, Thai, various cultures. And when we go down into the park, we'll see what's below us, which is a cultural centre for the whole community. And when they were revitalising this area, they wanted an artist to be commissioned to paint the murals on the side of this, what is the Belvedere of Belleville, overlooking the whole of Paris. So Seth, the French artist, has been commissioned to represent each of the ethnic minority or the cultures of the area. So on every post, we can see from here, you can see a different culture represented on each of the posts. So the with figures on each of the posts represent a different ethnic minority or culture within the area, and it's overlooking the whole of Paris. So it has the view looking out, trying to break the glass ceiling as it is through into the world beyond. And we can see across to the Eiffel Tower. We can see the Pompidou Centre directly ahead of us. Over on our left, you can see the Montparnasse Tower. Now, in 1970s, when the Montparnasse Tower was being built, there wasn't the planning regulations that we have nowadays, and so people could design, build, and erect these monstrosities in the city. And the Montparnasse Tower was one such monstrosity, which is why nowadays you look across Paris, you see this very flat, very consistent view across Paris. Only as far as La Défense, you have these skyscrapers that house some of the huge financial institutions and the electricity and energy companies. But the Montparnasse Tower, when it was built without planning regulations. So when it was finished, everyone was like, "Oh, we can't possibly have this in our city. It's a blight on the landscape." So they changed the planning regulations in the late 1970s. Now, if you come to Paris, everyone says you should go up the Eiffel Tower for the best view of Paris, whereas in fact, if you go to the top of the Montparnasse Tower, you have a cocktail bar, you have a viewpoint, and you have the Eiffel Tower in your photos of the vista of Paris. Buster Trek uses a lot of street dance, street kind of freestyle, free-flowing designs. I don't know if he uses this, but the sporadic nature of the work. It almost looks as if he's using two hands and just like scattergunning the art about. But in the end, if you step back and have a view of this amazing, the granddaughter of General de Gaulle, the famous wartime president, and she also started the ATD Carte Monde, which is a charity, a philanthropic charity which seeks to eliminate world poverty. And they had their headquarters here back in the day, and both of them, Germaine Tillion and Geneviève de Gaulle, were both philanthropists who started this charity and tried to promote the elimination of world poverty. So therefore they were immortalised on this bookshop. They obviously can't afford to do so, so you still have some who are refusing to leave and have still got their studios up this street. So for the Porte Verte des Ateliers de Belleville, so the doors open day of the artists in Belleville, you will come down here and you'll be able to go in and talk to the artists and understand what they've been doing, how they're trying to keep the cultural and the atmosphere of this street alive. This is one of the most famous graffiti streets in Paris. So on the corner here we've got a bar called Aux Folies, and when you go around the side you'll find pictures of all the old the regulars or the habitués. So the regulars include Edith Piaf, for example, who lived around the corner. And out the back of Aux Folies was this concert hall venue where they would come and they would sing and they would dance and they would drink, and it was the hub, the cultural hub for the area. And even today you have a lot of music and art, as we saw on much of the tour today. Sadly it's no longer used as a concert hall, but it's a beautiful place.